I lost my memory, and she didn't tell me the truth. Part 1. Okay. So, I don't really know how to begin this, except to say that I genuinely don't know what's real anymore. I'm writing this partly to get it off my chest, partly hoping someone out there can help me make sense of it, and partly because I'm scared. So, yeah. Let's just start from where I actually remember. Ambulance: the crash. 6 months ago, I woke up in a hospital bed with a pounding headache, a dry mouth, and absolutely no memory of the past 2 years of my life. Like, none. I could still remember who I was, my parents, high school friends, old job stuff, but everything since mid-2022? Completely gone. My girlfriend, Sophie, was the first person I saw when I opened my eyes. She was holding my hand, crying, looking like she hadn't slept in days. And when she said my name, Ethan, I didn't recognize her voice at all. That was terrifying. She said I had been in a car accident, that I'd been driving back from my friend Liam's bachelor party, hit a deer, swerved off the road, and flipped my car into a ditch. I was in a coma for 4 days. They said it was a localized retrograde amnesia. I'd never even heard that term before. I cracked a joke about how it sounded like a fake video game disease. Nobody laughed. Brain gaps and ghosts. When I got home, I kept waiting for my memory to come back. Like in the movies. You touch an old sweater, or someone plays a song, and boom, montage of memories, right? That didn't happen. The apartment we supposedly shared felt alien. Her stuff was everywhere. Drawers full of her clothes, pictures of us on the wall, smiling together, some of them in Paris, apparently. She'd even made a scrapbook of our favorite places, like a couple's guidebook. But looking at those pictures felt like looking at someone else's life. Like I was haunting someone else's story. I didn't remember any of it. Couch and lamp trying to relearn love. Sophie was patient, I guess. Kind. She would help me remember small things. Like, this is your favorite mug, you got it in Prague. Or, you always dance when you make pasta. And part of me wanted to believe it all. Because she was beautiful, and warm, and seemed genuinely hurt by the fact that I couldn't remember us. But here's the thing, something always felt off. I couldn't put my finger on it. But it was like walking into a room where someone had just left, the air was still warm, the smell of perfume lingered, but something's not right. That's how it felt being around her. Mobile phone: a message I wasn't meant to see. 3 weeks ago, Sophie left her phone on the kitchen table while she went to shower. Normally I wouldn't touch it, we'd only just gotten back to normal, but it buzzed 3 times in a row. I glanced at the screen. It said, "He still doesn't know. You're playing this way too close." I froze. It was from someone named Marianne Speech Balloon. I didn't recognize the name. But my stomach dropped. I waited till she got out of the shower. I asked, calmly, "Hey, who's Marianne?" She paused. Too long. Then, "Oh, she's just a friend from work." "What work?" I asked. She blinked. "You know, from the office. The marketing agency." Except, she told me she quit that job right before my accident. That night, I pretended to sleep. She left the room around 1 a.m. I followed her, quietly. She was on the phone in the kitchen, whispering, saying, "No, I think he's starting to suspect something. I'm trying, okay?" I didn't think it'd be this hard. I backed away, heart pounding so hard I thought it would give me another damn concussion. Magnifying glass tilted left, digging for clues. The next morning, I went through every drawer, folder, and hard drive I could find while she was out. She'd password protected almost everything. Except one folder buried on my laptop's desktop named Old Stuff. Inside? Videos. Not of us. Of me. Talking to the camera. Alone. Some of them were dated months before the accident. In one, I looked directly at the camera and said, If you're watching this, and you've lost your memory, do not trust her. I felt like the floor fell out from under me. Puzzle piece, the fragments return. Over the next few days, flashes started coming back. Not many. Not even full scenes. Just moments. Like the smell of burning toast. The sound of her yelling. A night I stood outside in the rain, crying. A voicemail on my own phone, from me to myself. She's lying to you, man. You have to get out. She's not who she says she is. It felt like a movie. Like I was in a psychological thriller, except I was the guy holding the popcorn yesterday and now I'm the main character, screaming. Videocassette, what I found in the safe. She had a safe. I remembered the number in a dream. Weird, right? Inside, I found a journal. Not mine, hers. Pages of notes on my habits, phrases like, he responds well to sympathy, test boundaries again, and, consider reintegration step 3. It didn't make sense. Was this some sort of therapy thing? A project? A sick experiment? There were also receipts, hospital bills. But none of them matched the hospital I stayed in. Fearful face, the twist I never expected. The last line I read before she walked in the door was, once he regains autonomy, terminate phase 2. She saw the safe open. The journal in my hand. And her face, I swear to God, didn't look surprised. Just tired. Part 2. We should talk. When Sophie saw me holding her journal, standing by the safe, she didn't panic. Didn't cry. She didn't even yell. She just closed the door quietly behind her and said, we should talk. She walked into the living room like we were about to have a conversation about what movie to stream. I stood there frozen, heart pounding, journal still open in my hand. I managed to ask, what is this? It's not what you think, she said. Classic line. You only say that when it's exactly what someone thinks. She sat down on the couch, crossed her legs, and gestured for me to sit too. I didn't. You were sick, she said. Before the accident. Mentally. You weren't well. You asked me to help. She claimed the journal was part of a plan we created together before my memory loss. That I had episodes, paranoia, memory fragmentation, and that I had begged her to ground me using repetition, routines, familiar stories. I told her about the video, the one where I literally warned myself not to trust her. She didn't even flinch. That's what I mean, she said. You started documenting yourself. You didn't know what was real anymore. You thought I was part of some experiment. You'd spiral. You didn't trust anyone, not even yourself. The thing is, if she had panicked, lied badly, or gotten angry, I'd have walked out then and there. But she didn't. She was calm. She even showed me my own medical files. Diagnoses. Prescriptions. Therapy notes. Everything looked legitimate. Pill, what if she's right? I spent the next few days going down the deepest rabbit hole of my life. Comparing dates on documents, calling pharmacies to confirm prescriptions, emailing a therapist, who didn't reply. And slowly, painfully, I started to wonder, what if she was right? What if I had been spiraling before the accident? What if I'd pushed everyone away and made up this version of her as some kind of manipulator because of a breakdown? The mind is fragile. Memories are unreliable. I've read enough stories on Reddit to know people remember things wrong all the time. Sophie was patient. She let me ask anything. She cooked dinner like normal. She even offered to leave if I needed space. But I couldn't shake this pull in my gut. Something still felt off. Desktop computer, the backup drive. A week later, I remembered the old backup drive I used to keep in my desk at work. It took me a while to even remember where my office was, but once I got there, it was still in my drawer, right where I apparently always kept it. Plugged it in. It was slow. Clunky. But it worked. And inside it? A folder I hadn't seen before. Just in case. I opened it. It had recordings. Audio mostly. Of therapy sessions. Some labeled with my name. Some with hers. In one recording, you can clearly hear her voice, Sophie's, talking to someone named Dr. Halvorsen. She says, "He's starting to suspect. I think he's going to remember what happened with Hannah. If he does, it's over." My blood ran cold. Who the hell was Hannah? Bust in silhouette, who is Hannah? There was nothing in my current life about a Hannah. No pictures. No contacts. No references. Not even old messages. But apparently, there were emails on the backup drive. From a Gmail address I used to use before I deleted everything. And in those? I found dozens of emails between me and someone named Hannah. I don't remember writing them. But they felt familiar. The way I wrote to her was different than the way I ever spoke to Sophie. It was warm. Vulnerable. Deep. Like I loved her. I found one email from over a year ago. Subject: "I'm sorry I can't leave." It read, "You're right. This isn't love anymore. It's obligation. Guilt. Confusion. But I'm scared, Hannah. You don't know her like I do. If anything ever happens to me, know that I tried. I really did. Luggage the storage unit." Another email had a receipt attached. A rental for a storage unit 2 towns over. I went. I used my ID to get in. Inside? Old boxes of mine. Stuff Sophie had told me we threw out when we moved in together. Inside one box. A photo album of me and Hannah. A birthday card that said, "To the love of my life." And, most chillingly, a USB drive labeled, "She's not who she says she is." I took it home. Plugged it in. It had video recordings. Secret ones. Hidden camera footage. Of Sophie going through my things. Of her deleting files on my laptop. Of her reading Hannah's letters and burning them. It also had footage of me, crying. In our old apartment. Saying, "I think she's going to hurt me. Locked, she knows I know." I didn't sleep that night. I copied everything to cloud storage, to my phone, to a burner drive I hid outside in the garage. When Sophie got home that night, I pretended everything was normal. But I could see it in her eyes. She knew I knew. And the scariest part? She didn't look upset. Or scared. She looked relieved. Telephone receiver, the final call. The next morning, I got a call from a blocked number. A woman's voice. She said, "I'm Hannah's sister. I don't know who you are, or what Sophie told you. But I saw your Reddit post. Hannah's dead. She's been gone almost a year now. And Sophie was the last person seen with her." Part 3. Hole: the truth is a sinkhole. The call from Hannah's sister felt like a punch I never saw coming. She said Hannah had disappeared after visiting Sophie one last time. That she filed a missing person report, but no one took her seriously. She sent me photos. Of Hannah and me, on hikes, at a cabin, kissing by a lake I didn't even recognize. And then she sent me one more. A photo of Hannah standing at a train station. With Sophie standing just behind her. Looking straight at the camera. As if she knew someone was watching. My stomach dropped. I asked her what she thought happened. Her voice cracked as she said, "I think your girlfriend is a killer." Magnifying glass tilted left, building the case. For the next week, I became obsessed. I compiled everything, all the files, the audio clips, the journal entries, the storage unit receipts, photos, emails. I laid them out like a detective on a murder wall. But it still didn't feel real. I mean, how do you prove someone manipulated you into forgetting the one person who meant everything to you? Or worse. How do you prove they erased her? Brain holes in the mind. I started going back through my own journals, the ones I had written before the accident. Pages and pages of fragmented thoughts. One line kept repeating. She makes me forget. She makes me forget. She makes me forget. I called the therapist whose name kept showing up on my files, Dr. Halvorsen. His number was disconnected. I looked up his license. It didn't exist. Who the hell had been treating me? Unlocked one last backup. I remembered an old friend I hadn't talked to in years, Mason. He used to be my roommate before Sophie and I moved in together. I reached out. We met for coffee. He looked at me like he'd seen a ghost. Man. I thought you were gone. I told him everything. He nodded slowly and said, You and Hannah, you were in love. She was good for you. But Sophie hated her. She tried to isolate you. She'd get jealous over everything. One time, she showed up at our apartment and screamed at Hannah for brainwashing you. Then he leaned in and whispered. You told me once, if anything ever happened to you, to go look in the woodshed at the lake house. I didn't remember owning a lake house. Canoe the lake house. It took me 2 days to figure out where it was. A tiny, half-collapsed cabin we apparently rented in the mountains. The air was cold. The trees, too quiet. The shed was locked. I broke it open. Inside was a metal box. Inside that? A Polaroid camera. A stack of notes. And a flash drive. I played the video in my car. It was me, bloodshot eyes, unshaven, sitting on the floor of what looked like the very same cabin. If you're watching this, you forgot again. She did it again. Your name is Adam. You love Hannah. And Sophie isn't who she says she is. She's been messing with your meds. Your memory. Your therapy. She said you were unstable, but that's only because she made you that way. If you find this, run. Collision the confrontation. I didn't go home. I booked a hotel. Slept with a knife under the pillow. My hands shook for hours. The next day, Sophie showed up at the hotel. How she found me, I don't know. She stood in the hallway like a ghost in a sundress. I know what you've done, she said softly. You've ruined everything. She didn't scream. She didn't beg. She just stepped forward and said, You were better off not remembering. Then, and only then, did I see the tears. Real ones. And she whispered. I didn't mean to hurt her. I stared at her. Speechless. And she said, She made you forget me first. I was just taking back what was mine. Oncoming police car aftermath. I went to the police. Turned over everything. Emails. Videos. Witnesses. They opened an official investigation. I don't know what's going to happen. But they believe me now. Hannah's family does too. They invited me to her memorial. I went. I stood in the back. I didn't know what to say. What could I say? I had loved her. And I let her disappear. Thought balloon, what now? I still don't have all my memories. Some days, I dream of her, but when I wake, I forget the sound of her laugh. Other days, I hear Sophie's voice and my stomach twists. I don't know if justice will ever come. But I know the truth now. And maybe that's the first step back to being myself again. TLDR. I lost my memory in an accident. My girlfriend Sophie took care of me. But I found out I had a secret relationship with a woman named Hannah who vanished mysteriously. Through hidden backups and old videos, I learned that Sophie manipulated my memory and may have been involved in Hannah's disappearance. Now I'm working with police and trying to piece together the person I used to be.